Okay, talking about border states, let's discuss Manipur. You were there recently, sir. What's the update from the ground? When can we expect normalcy? The Home Minister was there yesterday and there was an incident. Clearly, it's taking some time to establish a trust and be peace. What is your assessment?
Right. So over the last 4 or 5 days, I think we have had sporadic incidents of violence, firing from both sides. And if you recall, after the initial 2 to 3 days, that is between 3rd to 5th, where the violence levels were maximum, between 6th to 25th, things were sort of, the violence levels are reduced. But then you saw a sudden spurt in violence. And some of the things which are currently happening in Manipur, from the reports I get, is the involvement of people who are blocking the security forces when you go, or our columns when you want to get deployed or you want to move in response to a situation. Between the two communities, there have been incidents of firing. The weapons which have been gone out of the establishment, now these weapons are available to people, and this is where even some of the village defense forces or village defense committees, they are in possession of these arms. We have had some cases of mass protest, gatherings, so this is something which we have requested we must try and avoid, because that is where the spark can ignite. And as far as our work there is concerned, we are dominating especially those areas where both the communities are living together, so that you have a physical separation and you prevent a direct physical contact between both sides. Besides, we are also helping in keeping the two main roads which lead into Manipur, NH37 and NH2, entirely open, that the flow of essential commodities continues.
Well, it can never be helpful if people at large are militarized. You said that these weapons were looted. How do you get them back, General Sir?
So we are following a two-pronged approach. One is there's an appeal which has been made. I heard that when the Honorable Home Minister appealed to people to return the weapons by a certain time frame.
Yeah.
And second is we are also carrying out combing operations based on specific areas, so that these weapons which are presently at large, you get them back. So that is the R.
So are you saying that some amount of force is going to be applied if people are not going to adhere to the appeal that has been put out, and they continue to hold on to their weapons? You said combing operations. Will that entail
yes,
perhaps confrontation?
So those elements who are not supposed to be in possession of those weapons
will be dealt with harshly, because yes, that's what the Union Home Minister has said.
Absolutely. So it has to be a mix of both. If people, if people who are not supposed to have weapons, if they're having weapons and then using this to create unpleasant situations and such as this, if required, the force will be used.
Well, that's a big statement coming from the Army Chief. Now, I just want to ask you, because you say that these people, so the State Chief Minister, Mr. N. Biren Singh, had blamed the violence on Kuki insurgent groups. Remember, he had said this recently. On May 28th, a tweet by Spear Corps, Indian Army revealed intercepts of transcripts of plans by insurgents to use human shields while attacking villages and security forces. But the CDS has said that insurgency has nothing to do with the Manipur violence. Now, why is there so much confusion about who these individuals are? You've been there. What is your assessment as to who is to blame? Are they insurgents or are they not insurgents?
I would mention here, and I would like to state that the current situation that we are confronting within Manipur is that of ethnic clashes between two communities. Why, what is the history of it is a very detailed issue which we don't have time to discuss. And the current situation is a manifestation of law and order. So as far as the military deployment is concerned, It is to assist the state administration in restoring law and order, restoring peace, restoring normalcy. So that is what we are very clear in our mind as to what our role is. As far as you mentioned of some incidents, so there is also this challenge of misinformation, of narratives which are coming out from both sides. Now that is another issue which we need to be careful about, and I think that is another appeal which we had made for only credible information, and especially for the media and such influencers not to abet this kind of misinformation. But I wish to assure you, as far as the army is concerned, my guidance to the troops and commanders is absolutely unambiguous, to be absolutely neutral, to be credible in whatever we are doing, and we are there for the good of both the communities. So if there is any narrative of this way or the other, I would like to say that it is totally incorrect.
A couple of questions. Do you think the response to the violence lacked urgency, General Saab? Point one. And point two, you talked about the way forward or solutions. At a time when AFSPA in Manipur has been considerably scaled down, will you be in favor of a review of that decision?
Well, your first question, it's immediately after the violence that started on the 3rd, we were quick. We deployed close to 130 columns, not only what was the forces available to us in Manipur, but we were proactive, we were able to anticipate what is coming up. And with the help of the Air Force, in some cases, we were able to deploy additional forces from outside Manipur. And that is what I feel greatly has enabled us to put the situation under control. If I were to give you certain figures, we had close to 36,000 people who were internally displaced. So people from one community who lived in an area where there was preponderance of the other community, we had to evacuate them, take them to safer places. So this is a huge number. All this happened within the first 2 days. We also had close to 21,000 people there who took shelter in our operating bases, in our army as well as Assam Rifle, post. And this, we looked after their administration, their well-being, rations, food, medical, and what have you. So I would say our response to what happened, I would call it very prompt, very effective, and I think that was what was instrumental in largely bringing the situation under immediate control in the first couple of days. And your second question
was AFSPA. In Manipur, AFSPA has been scaled down. Do you think a time has come to review that decision?
Well, when you look at the security situation, this is only one aspect, what currently is happening. But you'll have to look at certain other factors before we take a call. And I'm sure, if there is I've been looking at examining all these factors, conditions, including, there are a number of other issues. I'm sure at the right level, at the right time, this review, if necessitated, will be undertaken.